Welcome to the Hunger Games Series September! Just like last year, I'm going to be looking at all the books in the series and then writing an analysis on it. Okay, quick disclaimer. I did not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I didn't really feel the need to. I'm sure it's a decent book, but I had no interest in looking at it for Series September. I'm just looking at the 3 Hunger Games books. Maybe I'll look at it for a future Masters of Literature if you really want me to read it. Also note, this will not be the last time I do something like this with the series, okay? Okay, let's move on. The Hunger Games was written by Suzanne Collins and published in 2008. I actually remember when this book came out. My mom read it around that time, and when I got older, I read it. I remember really liking this book, but I hadn't read it in over 10 years. Well, let's see if I still like it. Alright, you know the drill. As it's a science fiction novel, we are going to look at the world. The setting is in the country of Panem, which was North America. Panem is split up into 13 districts and a capital. Each district has a specific job to do. District 1 makes luxury items, District 2 makes weapons, although the cover that the government gives is they work in the stone quarries. District 3 works on technology, District 4 specializes in fishing, District 5 is responsible for power and electricity, District 6 works on transportation, District 7 is the lumber supply, District 8 is known for the textiles industry, District 9 focuses on grain production, District 10 focuses on livestock, District 11 is known for agriculture, District 12 works on coal production, and District 13 used to work on mining graphite, which is used to make pencils. Now I'm sure you noticed that I said, used to. Sometime before the story of the Hunger Games takes place, there was a massive war between the districts and the government. What ended up happening was the destruction of District 13 and the creation of the Hunger Games. Now, what are the Hunger Games? Here's how it works. Every year, a representative of the capital will come over to their respective districts and draw a name of a 12 to 18-year-old boy and girl to compete in the games. That boy and girl will be known as tributes for their district. So since District 13 was destroyed, that's a total of 24 kids competing. But what do they have to do? Kill each other. The government literally gathers 24 children, puts them in an arena, and makes them fight to the death. Why? To entertain the people at the capital and instill fear into the districts. It sounds a lot like the gladiator fights of old. Also, it is perfectly fine to volunteer as a tribute, and it's even encouraged in some of the districts where fighting in the Hunger Games is a high honor. Now, here's how the drawing of the names works. Once a child turns 12, their name is added into the bowl and will remain there until that person turns 19. It is possible to get a slip with your name added in there multiple times. How? By asking for tessera, which is some grain and oil from the government. Some people have to do it to keep their families alive. So let's get to the story. The beginning takes place in District 12, where we meet our protagonist, Katniss Everdeen, who is 16 years old. It is Reaping Day for the 74th Hunger Games, and everyone is required to go to the town square and watch it happen. Well, the name chosen for the girl tribute is Primrose Everdeen, Katniss's 12-year-old sister. Katniss volunteers in place of her sister. The name chosen for the boy tribute is Peeta Mellark, who is the same age as Katniss. Katniss actually knew him in school. She didn't know him super well, but she knew of him. Now, everyone's gotta say their goodbyes, and the mayor's daughter, Madge, who was a friend to Katniss, gives her a Mockingjay pin as a token of her district. That's allowed in the games. It's actually encouraged that each tribute have a token of their district. After all the goodbyes, Katniss and Peeta are transported to the capital with their chaperone, Effie Trinket, and their mentor, who won the 50th Hunger Games and is the only living District 12 victor, Haymitch Abernathy. Haymitch at first has absolutely no faith in Katniss and Peeta, as he's mentored other tributes of District 12 and all of them have been killed. But he is impressed with both of them, as they show they are willing to try to survive, so he actually starts to help them. It's actually pretty funny when that happens. When everyone makes it to the capital, Katniss and Peeta have to prepare for the games. At this point, the tributes of each district will wear an outfit pertaining to their district and show it off for the crowd. Katniss's stylist, Cinna, comes up with an idea. Since District 12 provides the coal and you burn coal, Cinna is thinking of using synthetic flames to light Katniss and Peeta on fire and show it to the crowd. And that's exactly what happens. At this point in the preparation, the tributes have to make themselves look as appealing as possible, so that they will receive gifts from sponsors during the games. Now this fire outfit sets Katniss and Peeta apart from everyone else, which makes the other tributes not happy at all, and Katniss earns the name Girl on Fire. Now, sometime after this, Katniss and Peeta have to train to fight, but are both told not to reveal their skills to the other tributes. But they can reveal their skills in the private session with the game makers, who will score her and reveal that score later. Now, Katniss' skill is in archery, thanks to some illegal hunting in the woods beyond the fence. Katniss ends up getting the highest score of the tributes, but not the way you think. She actually shot an arrow into the game maker's area and nearly killed one of them. She just did that and left. Of course, seeing the high score riles up the other tributes. Now it's interview time. Each tribute gets a televised 3-minute interview with Caesar Flickerman. Katniss feels she isn't too good with the interview, but does end up pleasing the crowd, so it's fine. But Peeta's interview, oh boy! He admits that he has a massive crush on Katniss, which is a problem, considering that the two of them have to kill each other. Katniss isn't too happy about this, but eventually accepts it as a ploy to gain sponsors, and Haymitch promotes their image as star-crossed lovers. Let the games begin! The games begin, and like every battle royale ever, everyone starts fighting. Katniss grabs a backpack from the supply pile and runs far away from the bloodbath where almost half of the tributes are killed. Now the arena of the games changes every time. This year, it's a big forest. Katniss is able to survive in the woods thanks to her hunting skills, but is later driven toward other tributes by artificial fire. You see, game makers change up the games a bit so as to not bore the audience. She climbs a tree and makes her presence known to the career tributes and Peeta, who is teaming up with them? Jerk. Since Katniss is so good at climbing trees, the career tributes have no idea how to get her, and the girl with the bow is a horrible shot. While everyone is sleeping, Katniss notices Rue, a 12-year-old girl from District 11, and who had been following Katniss during the training with other tributes. Rue points out a trackerjacker nest right over the career tributes' heads. Now, trackerjackers are wasps, but they will actually set out to murder you, and their venom can cause horrible hallucinations. Katniss saws the trackerjacker nest off, and it releases the wasps. 2 of the career tributes are killed, including the girl with the bow. Katniss takes the bow, but not without being stung. She thinks she sees Peeta telling her to run, so she does. She's not really sure if that's the case, as when she allies with Rue, Rue mentions that Peeta is no longer with the careers. And he's not dead. The government tells the tributes who has been killed each day. Now here's the deal. Katniss wants to get back at those careers, and she comes up with an idea. You see, the career tributes have access to all the supplies at the start of the arena where everyone enters. And since the career tributes come from the wealthier districts, they don't know a whole lot about hunting and such. Rue drives the careers out by setting small fires, while Katniss goes over to the large supply of food. She finds out that the boy from District 3 had reactivated the mines that are set to go off if you're not off your start point within the first minute of the games. So at a distance, Katniss activates the mines and blows up the food. The careers, of course, are very, very mad. Katniss leaves and starts looking for Rue, and she does find her, but it's too late. The boy from District 1 speared her. Katniss kills the boy and stays with Rue as she dies. Katniss spreads flowers over Rue's body to show the capital that they don't own her. The people of District 11 send some bread to Katniss to show gratitude. But because things aren't interesting enough, a rule change is announced. If 2 people from the same district are remaining, they will both win. Well, since Peeta is still alive, Katniss sets out to look for him. She does end up finding him, but he is badly injured. She tries her best to nurse him back to health, but she doesn't have enough proper experience or resources to fully restore him. So Katniss does the only thing she knows will guarantee help. She pretends to be madly in love with Peeta. Many sponsors do send in supplies, but not good enough medicine to help Peeta's legs since it's getting worse. So the game makers announce a feast, which will contain an item that each tribute needs most. This includes medicine for Peeta. Now this part is interesting. Peeta doesn't want Katniss to risk her life for him, but she wants to save him. What ends up happening is a sponsor sends Katniss sleeping syrup. She drugs Peeta, who realizes too late what she's doing, and she heads out to grab the medicine. While she grabs the medicine, she runs into Clove, the girl from District 2, who tries to kill her. But when she mentions what happened to Rue, that triggers Thresh, the boy from District 11, to come out and kill Clove. He asks Katniss what happened, and she explains quickly and just begs him to get it over with. Thresh lets her live since he felt he owed her for keeping Rue safe for as long as she could. Katniss runs and gives Peeta the medicine. Now the game makers try to spice things up some more, and there's an epic final battle between the 3 remaining tributes, Katniss and Peeta versus Cato, the boy from District 2. Katniss and Peeta win! They're the last 2 remaining survivors. That's when the game makers say, "Screw you!" and revoke the rule that they made before about 2 people from the same district winning, thus forcing them to fight it out in one epic finale. However, because neither of them want to kill each other, Katniss has the idea for both of them to consume poisonous berries together. Now this is out of defiance, not so much out of love. Katniss literally just went, "Well, screw you too!" to the game makers, because if they don't have a victor, the game makers will have failed the Capitol and likely be executed. The game makers, to save their lives, allow the 2 of them to win, but now the government is very mad at Katniss and Peeta, but mostly Katniss because she came up with the idea. Haymitch warns Katniss of this, so Katniss has to play up the role that she was so madly in love that she couldn't bear the thought of being without him. Peeta eventually learns that Katniss's feelings aren't really genuine and that the whole romance thing was to gain sympathy. In reality, Katniss doesn't really know what to feel. It's hinted throughout the book that she does have feelings for him, but she doesn't understand them. And that's where the book ends. Now let's get to the analysis real quick. Ah yes, the age-old style of dystopian future, protagonists must take down the big bad government. There's not much warning to this like in traditional old science fiction. If anything, it gives us a view of how a person's humanity can disappear in one motion. There's actually a conversation that Katniss has with her best friend Gale in the beginning, where Gale mentions the idea that killing a person wouldn't be that different from killing an animal if you treat it like that. And later on, there's the moment where Katniss murders the boy from District 1 and she mentions that's how it felt. She didn't let her emotions get in the way. It's sad when you think about it. I didn't notice this at first, but when I read this again years later, I noticed there is a numerous amount of foreshadowing. One example that I caught was when Rue follows Katniss and Peeta during the training with the other tributes, they first notice her at the spear throwing portion of the training grounds, and Rue is later killed by a spear. And like every dystopian novel, there is a huge focus on the people and not the government. Specifically the people of District 12, who live in poverty, and many die due to the dangers of coal mining. It's to give the reader an idea of why they should be rooting for the main protagonist, who wants to take on the government. Overall, I'd still recommend this. It's still a fun ride, and it's one of many books that popularized the young adult dystopian future setting. Now, there is a film adaptation of this. From what I remember of the film adaptation, it's pretty accurate, but not everything is accurate. Clearly, the directors wanted to focus more on the love story and keep building on that. But I didn't really like how they did it, as I knew in the book that Katniss was very unsure of her feelings towards Peeta, and mostly played up the romance act so she could get stuff from sponsors, while Peeta over here actually was in love with her. Honestly, I feel like the small changes the movie made were unnecessary, and is the very reason why many people make fun of it. The age recommendation I'd give for this book is 15 and up. It's an easy read, but due to the nature of the Hunger Games themselves, it's very violent and graphic. Also, the story takes a bit to pick up in speed, but don't worry, it'll get there. It was nice to read The Hunger Games after so long. This was a book that was very popular among kids when I was young. I actually remember all the hype going on when the movie was announced and released. Anyways, thanks for listening to me talk about this fun ride, and I'll see you next week when we talk about Catching Fire. Happy reading!